Now, are you ready to taste the experience of Code Orange, my favorite Mountain Dew flavor?
I stopped drinking Mountain Dew like a couple of years ago.
Were you too edgy for it? Did you outgrow it?
No, it's because Mountain Dew is ungodly unhealthy, and for some reason, every time I drank it, my acne would get really bad.
Oh, now you should drink a ton of it.
No.
Code Orange is a Pittsburgh metalcore band slash, I think at one point they were a hardcore punk band, but mostly now they're known for their metalcore.
They're industrial metalcore.
Industrial?
There's industrial elements in there.
Yeah. Like, probably my favorite elements are probably the industrial elements, thinking about it now. I wouldn't classify as an industrial metalcore, though.
I mean,
I guess I wouldn't classify a lot of stuff as metalcore because I really am unfamiliar with the genre.
I am more familiar with the genre. I would say this is metalcore, sometimes industrial metalcore, but mostly just metalcore.
The band consists of Eric Shade Balderose on guitar and vocals, Reba Myers on vocals and guitar. Reba McEntire's on this.
Oh, wow. She's really branching out from her country roots.
And her TV show.
Yeah.
Jamie Morgan's on vocals and drums. Joe Goldman is on bass. And Dominic Landolina. I don't know how to pronounce things. I don't know why I do the show to begin with on guitars. They put out an album that was critically acclaimed back in 2017 called Forever, which I haven't listened to, but I wanted to see where the hype of this band would lead. And also, it's time to make a very stupid wrestling reference because all roads lead to wrestling. They have performed at a couple NXT takeovers. And also they have done the theme music for the Fiend Bray Wyatt, so that's important to some of you out there. Also, I think they're like one of two bands on Triple H's speed dial, I think, along with Poppy, which is weird.
Vincent, I need you to go at least one fucking episode without somehow relating something to wrestling.
It's important to the culture.
It's really not.
This new album's 14 songs, 47 minutes, and it has some ambitious scope with some of the production, some of this hectic and intense, manic production with glitchy cutouts and synthetic shrieks, some overpowering, menacing drums, and some very surprising elements at times, like all of a sudden it will get into this mass wall of distortion, or you'll get like a glass shattering sample, or all of a sudden static will come out of nowhere. A bunch of surprising elements that create some twists and turns on here, which is nice. But I like the effort put into this project, but it leads to the album getting kind of lame halfway through.
Yeah, this album starts off insanely good with Deeper Than Before and Swallowing the Rabbit Hole. And it's just really unique. It's a blend of, especially with like Deeper Than Before, like horror-inspired like industrial soundscapes. There's some things on there that sounded like it came out of like a Silent Hill game. And then mixing that with like metalcore, and it was really interesting. And metalcore is a genre that, like, for the most part, I just don't listen to anymore because it's kind of getting extremely stale and repetitive and lame. And so when this album opened, I thought this is going to be like the first metalcore album in a while to like really have an impact and fucking mean something. And then Sulfur Surrounding happens, and that all just kind of goes away.
Yeah, like halfway through the album. It's the performances on this are production-wise very amazing, but they kind of run out of ideas halfway through to where the point where there's ambition behind the project, there's passion to what they're doing, but they aren't really necessarily creating anything new that you haven't already heard in the album at that point. The vocals
and not even just
here,
for that album. There are, like, I made it as a joke before, but if you're familiar with Bullet for My Valentine's, like earlier material, there's a lot of stuff on here that just sound kind of like that. Like, it's nowhere near as fucking cringe-inducing or inducing as Bullet for My Valentine could get, but it's still very reminiscent of just that era of metalcore.
Yeah. But I think one of the biggest things that I have is that I find a hard sense to get a personality out of the vocal performances and the lyrics being presented. There's no lyricism besides on Who I Am, which was just referencing a story I actually never heard of. It's a stalker called Ricardo Lopez who was stalking Bjork and like sent her an acid bomb, or attempted to send her an acid bomb.
You never heard
and then
that
committed
before?
suicide. I've never heard that story
Oh,
before.
I had.
I don't know why I haven't, but you think there would be at least 500 podcasts about it today, because the how heavy true crime is being consumed nowadays.
That's like also Bjork, so you think like it'd be everywhere because it's Bjork.
I guess I don't know why I haven't heard that. Maybe I did, and maybe I just didn't think it was that interesting. I don't know. But I think the vocals and the lyrics just don't bring a personality really to the table. And like what I strive for the most is just the production on this. And like when that gets tiring, there really isn't anything on this album for me.
Yeah.
And like once we get to like the last 4 tracks, I'm just bored to tears personally. Like it doesn't personally do anything for me. Like I think production wise, they're still putting in effort, but they've cut themselves too thin at that point to where really nothing they're doing is resonating with me.
Yeah, and pretty much at that point, they're just getting lost in the old, tired, traditional soundscapes that inspired them, whether it's metalcore or there's a track, I always forget which one it was. I think it's either a Razor Scan or the Easy Way, I think, where they just kind of sound like a Nine Inch Nails ripoff.
But I think this band does peak on here with You and You Alone, which builds up to this spontaneous and unhinged moment with filling hurting guitars, punchy vocals, and this is truly where I think the band's aesthetic and momentum is unmatched in that realm. But the rest of the album is kind of like chasing the peak of that,
Yeah.
and not really fulfilling anything past that.
This is an album that would have been a much better EP because they had a lot of really good ideas, but they threw them all out at once at the very beginning and then just filled it in with mediocrity to get to album length. They should have just taken all those great ideas that they had, keep it in an EP form, and just accept that that's all the ideas they had at that moment.
Yeah. Keep in mind all scores futile and meaningless right now. I think this is like 5 to 6.
Yeah, this is a 6. If they got such a frustrating listening experience. To like start so high and then just turn into such blandness. But yeah, it's a 6.
Yeah.